Welcome back, guys. In tonight's episode of Dogs Decoded, we're meeting a couple here. This is from an episode called Big Dogs, Big Problems from the Dog Whisperer, so Cesar Millan. And in this episode, the couple has two very large dogs. One of the dogs has been rehomed 4 times. When he got into this new home here with his owner now, the very first time that he went to introduce him to another dog, it ended in disaster. I should mention here too that we're not going to be watching the full episode. We're only watching little clips. I basically, if you want to watch the full episode, I will leave a link to it at the bottom, but that's not what my channel is about. I'm not about watching the whole show. I'm just about decoding the dog. So we're just looking at little clips, and then I'm going to stop and explain what I'm seeing, and then we'll move on to different clips.
When she gets aggressive, I notice my energy levels. Yeah, I get nervous and I get tense, and I immediately pull on the leash, and then I pull her away.
Right off the bat, what we see is dogs ahead of the owner. It's lunging. It's desperately trying to get at this dog over here. And the owner says it so perfectly. I'm tense. I immediately pull back on the leash. He takes all of those fears, and he's going to go into this in a minute where he talks about what happened with Roxy and the other dog. But he brings that fear with him into any encounter now that he runs into with another dog. And you can see already that the dog's feeding off that excited energy. And as soon as he starts to get amped, the owner pulls on the leash and starts doing the lunging behavior. And I want to point out a couple other things here. First of all, I want to say I'm not against pinch collars. I'm not against really any tool as long as it's used proper. However, in this case, the prong collar or pinch collar that he's using is way down here on the throat. All this does is cause pain to the dog. It actually isn't teaching him anything. In fact, it's making it worse. The dog is associating this dog with pain. Every time he sees this dog, he's getting this constant pressure on the throat that's pinching into his skin. It's not actually delivering a correction. So every time he sees a dog and he feels that pain, he associates the other dog with the pain. This is why it's so important that when we're using tools, we make sure we're using them properly. So if you are going to use a prong collar, it needs to be just like a slip leash. It needs to be way up here, right along behind the ears, along that jawline, all the way around. And you want it to sit just snug enough that you can easily put your finger under it, but it's not going to slide all the way down. So, and the way that prong collars are designed, much like a choke collar, the actual correction on a prong collar and a choke collar is the clicking. That should be the first warning sign to the dog. So if you notice on a prong collar, it's got a series of chains at the top, and then it's got the prongs at the bottom. The chains at the top make a clicking sound when there's tension on the leash. So when the dog's walking normally, it's just everything's fine. As soon as there's a little bit of tension, it goes click, 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 click. That's the warning to your dog that something's coming. If the dog keeps pushing or pulling against that, the next thing is to feel the pain, which is that the pinch of the collar, the prongs into the throat of the dog. But anyways, getting back to it. So this is way down here. It's not teaching the dog anything, and the dog is feeding off of the owner's stress and anxiety. Basically, this owner has a video in his head of what's going to happen, and he's projecting it down the leash right into the dog, and the dog's saying, okay, hit play, and going right for it.
My first big time walking around the neighborhood. Someone from the neighborhood had a Lhasa Apso and was walking towards me.
I just want to point out right off the bat, he's, the dog is still, it's pulling him. He's talking, I want to mention this because he says that he just gotten the dog, so he doesn't know the dog yet. It's a very large dog, so he's going to be nervous. He doesn't know how this dog is with other dogs or how he is on walks. He's just learning. He just got the dog. So he's already in a nervous mindset, and now he's heading out to walk this dog.
And she said, you got a new dog. Is it friendly? And I said, well, it seems that way. And
this is the thing. So I look at right here, this is such a great place to pause, because look at the shift. This dog, it started off a second ago, it was already pulling, it was already kind of scanning and looking around. It has now 100% locked onto its target. Look at those ears are straight forward. There's no listening. He doesn't care about anything going on around him now. His eyes are zero. If you put lasers on those eyes, they would burn right into its target, because he has locked and loaded now. He's ready to go. And again, pulling that tension on the leash. He's pulling. Look at his position to where the handler is, right? The handler is way back here. This dog is in full control of this walk right now. He's locked onto his position. And can you just play this through in your head for a sec? This other lady walking up saying, "Oh, is your dog friendly?" And the owner saying, I think so. I just got him, so I don't really know. Well, I can tell you just from right here that this is not a friendly behavior. This isn't a curious, I want to meet you. This is a, hey, you look really tasty. I want to eat you.
Everything seemed okay, so I kind of eased up on.
Okay, so you notice now he's creeping, right? So his ears are forward, his head starts to lower, his tail is right down, his whole body is just rigid, and he starts going into the slinking behavior, because if he was in the wild, if he was hunting, he would go right down nice and low to the ground and get in position. He'd wait for that perfect opportunity to strike. This is the exact same thing as, say, imagine a snake when it coils up and it's just about ready to strike. This is what we're seeing in this dog right
now. The leash, she eased up on her leash, and then she looked down and started screaming, and Roxy had a lasso opso in its mouth and started shaking it.
And again, to the owners, this would have happened so fast that they probably, they would describe it as, I didn't even have time to react. We do have time to react if we listen to our dogs ahead of time. This is a very typical case of just an owner not knowing his dog, not knowing what signs to look for, and the absolute worst case happening, which is this other dog ended up getting mauled as a result of it.
After that, I never wanted to introduce her again to dogs.
So this happens all the time, right? So when owners get into a situation, or their dogs get into a situation with another dog, or something happens that is just so traumatic, it's human nature to try to avoid. If we touch a red hot stove, we kind of learn really fast that I probably shouldn't put my hand on a red hot stove again. And that mentality transfers to our dogs. So if something bad happens, I took my dog for a walk, I let it meet another dog, it got in a fight. Therefore, I'm never going to let my dog meet another dog again, because I don't want to get into a fight, just like I don't want to touch a red hot stove. It's that same concept. But the problem is that if we never put our dog in that position again, the dog never learns how to cope with real world things. And let's face it, you can't put a bubble around your dog. I mean, you could keep it in the backyard its whole life, but that's no life for a dog. You rehome it. Well, that's what happened with this dog. It's been rehomed 4 times now. Bottom line is, usually what ends up happening is these dogs just end up getting put to sleep, because people don't understand the signs leading up to the attack to begin with. And because they never taught the dog how to respond normally, it never actually moves past that. It lives in that moment of that attack. It's never learned how to move past it.
And I know that there's this saying, you never have a second chance to make a first impression. Well, we really wanted to make sure.
Dogs are very, very willing to let us make mistakes over and over again, and they're so capable of learning. They can learn. Unfortunately, they learn our bad habits just as quickly as they learn our good habits, but they're very forgiving, and they have no problem learning a new method of living or a new sense of being. So if your dog is hyper and you've tried all of these things, or maybe your dog's aggressive and you've watched all these videos and you feel like you've just tried and they don't work, take a deep breath, relax. They will work. Your dog will forgive you. Your dog won't even remember that. We can move forward and say, from here on in, this is how we're going to live. And your dog will catch on very quickly. So dogs think in picture form. It's not that they don't forget. They don't. But they don't remember the way humans do. When a human replays something back, whether it be a good memory or a bad memory, we tend to play that almost like a recording in our mind, right? and we fast forward and we rewind and we show our friends and our family, and we take snapshots of it. We send it to all of our friends and family on Facebook. We play those memories over and over and over in our minds. Dogs, it's a bit different because they think in picture form, not in video form. So they'll remember something, but only when another event happens that triggers that memory. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, and usually it's connected to smells and all kinds of, the environment around them. So if you ever seen that, where sometimes you'll see these sweet videos on YouTube where, dogs get reunited with their long lost owners, and it always starts off with the dog walks past the owner and then all of a sudden goes, wait. And then there's that 2 or 3 second gap. And then all of a sudden the dog just jumps out of its skin and goes, oh my God, it's you. That's the picture lining up with the smell and the picture in the dog's mind of that event. And all of a sudden it goes, wait, I remember that. And it has positive memories associated with that smell and that image, and it makes the connection. Doesn't mean that our dogs don't miss us when we leave. It just means that they think differently about it. It's not the same. They're not playing a long video.
Talk about learning how to forgive. They are the teachers.
Yeah, that's true.
It's so true. Dogs they live in the moment, and that's why we love them so much. That's why dogs are so good at keeping us grounded, because they don't sit there and think about the past. They're not replaying those videos over and over. They're saying, you know what, I don't care what happened yesterday. I'm right here. I don't care about tomorrow. I don't care that you have to work tomorrow. I just care about right now, right this second. Let's make the best of it. And that's why we love our dogs so much, even if we don't realize that's what they're doing. They're teaching us to live in the moment and to just celebrate each event as it happens.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Okay.
So notice right away, Cesar's taken the pinch collar off, or prong collar, whatever you want to call it, and he's put a slip leash on. I really love slip leashes. I swear by them with all of my clients. That's the first thing I do, is I switch from whatever collar they're using to a slip leash. And notice how even right here, Cesar's taking the first step out. His foot is out, she is behind. Now, yes, right now there's some tension on the leash because she doesn't know this new rule. This is a new rule. So right away he's saying, I'm in control. I'm leading this walk. You're just along. You can be with me, but you're going to be behind me by a step. I don't want you one step ahead. And this is really, really important, because owners do this all the time. They get the dog excited. They pick up the leash. Hey, let's go for a walk. The dog gets all excited. By the time they get to the door, the dog's jumping off out of its skin with excitement. It drags the owner through the door. The owner's barely hanging on. And right away, they're setting it up for a very, very horrible walk, right? They're just getting pulled everywhere. So Cesar's setting this dog up for success by saying, no, this is the mindset today. I will lead, you will follow, and we're going to get along just great.
All right, America.
You notice the ears? So right now, this dog is not used to being in this position. This dog's used to being way up here and leading. So his ears, his ears are back. He's trying to figure out if his handlers are coming. He's listening to all the things that are going on. He's also trying to process this new position. Okay, I'm not in a leader position. Now I'm in a follower position. So he's trying to figure out how to make this make sense to her at this very moment.
Our next German Shepherd.
That was so casual, but right there, she went to just start to lead ahead, and Cesar gave just the slightest little correction. It wasn't a severe correction. It wasn't anything bad. It was just a, hey, nope, you're going to stay here. And you're going to find this when you first start walking with your dogs this way, you're going to have to make lots of corrections, but it won't always be like that. It's just in the beginning while you're teaching them, you're basically marking for them where you want them to walk. So every time they walk in a spot you don't want them, you say, no, and you put them back in that position. Eventually they get to the point where they're like, oh, okay, I can breathe, I can relax. This is where I need to be. Everything's good. Okay, so I had ChatGPT try to do a diagram. This is the best it could do. I tried. I put in several prompts. All I asked it to do is, please, create an image of a dog walking exactly beside an owner, and then do another image of a dog walking 1 to 2 steps ahead. And after about 20 prompts of trying different variations, this is the best I could get. So this is what we're working on. What I'm trying to show you here in this image is, in this image here, look at where the dog's nose is in comparison to the handler's knee. This is where we want the dog to be, okay? Ignore the 1 inch, okay? ChatGPT failed this. We want the dog to be right here. As we're walking, their nose is just right at our knee. Not ahead, not behind, right here. In this image here, I wish they could have showed it a little bit better, but you can see that the dog is now ahead of the owner. The nose is well ahead. The head is well ahead of the knees here. Even the paws are ahead of the handler's feet. This is what we want to correct. As soon as that dog starts to creep, and you can see this nose getting way past the knee here, this is where we want to make the correction. We don't want to wait until they're way ahead and the leash is tense and they're pulling. We want to correct when they're just starting to get into this position. If the handler in this picture went, hey, knock it off, and did a quick correction, they could instantly remind the dog, oh, I need to step back and just slow down a little bit. So we want to wait. We want to wait until they just start to creep and then say, hey, and then get them to go back into the position right away. I did the best I could. I wanted to put a diagram in here, and this is all I could come up with, guys. Sorry. Notice, this is Junior. This is Cesar's dog here. Notice the nose is already going, right? So this is so important because a lot of people think, oh, the dogs have to be face to face to meet. They don't. This Cesar's dog, Junior, is already meeting this dog from God knows where they are on this walk, but guarantee it's probably a good 100 feet away, and he's already sniffing the air. He knows already that this dog has an excited energy, that it's nervous, that it's not balanced. Junior's already got this image in his mind of how this dog is holding itself way before they ever actually do a meet and greet.
I like this. I like the way she's walking.
That was really neat too, because I do this a lot with my clients. Did you see how just as she was starting to move, she was starting to creep ahead, Cesar just very quickly switched directions. And that's a really good way to teach your dog. If they keep trying to creep ahead on you, instantly change direction. It gets them off balance. They don't quite understand. They go from a, I better keep challenging my handler to a, I better keep an eye on my handler because I don't know, they're losing their mind. They keep changing direction on me. And it gets them more alert. They start paying attention to you because you become unpredictable now. They can't predict what you're going to do. Instead, in the past, you used to just walk in a straight line, but now you keep changing direction. All of a sudden, the dog has to start paying attention to what you're doing, and that gets them more in tune with you and less in tune with what's going on around them.
Okay, well, that's alert. That's very German Shepherd-like.
So this dog, it was already excited, but it was definitely calmer. Now it's gone to... It's already starting to scan. The ears are up. Look at those ears are pointed straight up. The tail is starting to wag, but it's not a relaxed, calm wag. It's a I'm starting to get excited wag, right? So we're already seeing that. And this is where if you correct them at this stage when they're still nice and calm, it's a lot easier to give a correction. If you can surprise the dog by doing Cesar does this, I don't know if he'll do it in this video, but the heel tap where he uses his heel and he taps the hip or just in front of the hip there. He doesn't kick hard. What he's doing is just a tap to kind of shock them out of it. It throws them off balance and it makes them kind of just snap back into reality. Instead of focusing on what's going on around, they have to be like, oh, okay, I'm paying attention to you.
Alert. Get ready with this. Right there. Stop her right away.
And I just want to point out, so you notice she didn't yelp. There was no, she didn't get hurt there. All it was just a touch that she were in a place she wasn't expecting. You can tell that that has never happened just by the way she kind of went, whoa, where did that come from? What I want you to notice right away is as soon as he did that heel tap, she instantly walked 2 or 3 steps back. That was just instinct for her to go, oh, okay. And she walked a few steps back. And that's her resetting, her saying, oh, okay, I can't, I have to change positions. I can't be in that mindset. It's going to take a few corrections, but you can tell she's already, these dogs are so smart. It doesn't take them long. She's already figuring it out.
See, I surprised her. She was not expecting that.
Notice how he gives a nice big sigh there. That's, as handlers, sometimes, especially when we're in high stress situations like this, we forget to breathe. So by sighing like that, by taking a nice deep breath and by sighing, we're actually signaling to our dog that we're relaxed. Because when do we sigh? We don't sigh when we're stressed. We sigh when we're relaxed. And so by doing that nice and loud, he's telling that dog, I'm relaxed, I'm calm right now. That's where I want you to be. There you go. So there's the second correction right there. So she just started to get a little bit excited. She knows she can smell, just like Junior was able to smell her from 100 feet away. She darn well knew that Junior was there too. She may not have realized that she was going to meet him, but she knew that there was another dog in the vicinity and she was smelling him. So they are very aware of each other already. He caught her right away just as she started to get excited. He gave her another correction. She went, oh, okay, something's different.
Surprise number 2.
So now you can see she's kind of scanning around, but she's not scanning as in I'm hunting now. Now she's just kind of like, she doesn't know why she's being corrected yet. She knows that she's being corrected, but she hasn't made the connection between my excited state and the correction. So that's coming, but it's just not quite there.
So Junior, or she heard a dog. Very important to maintain this.
So, and then there's our third correction, and right there you can see there was a little bit of a yelp, not a loud one. It was just like a she immediately backs up. That was the perfectly timed correction, because as soon as she started to get excited, she knew now she can hear Junior in the RV, so she started to get excited. And Cesar, the moment she started to shift into excited, he gave her that correction. She wasn't expecting that because she was locked into meeting Junior at that moment. So that was the perfect time to do the correction, because she wasn't expecting it, but she sure made the connection here, and you're going to see it here. See those steps back? Okay, you're leading, I'm following, I get it now. So now all of a sudden she's 100% said, I don't quite know what's going on yet, so I'm just going to follow you.
Maintain this, you're good. This is 3 step back, so she's retrieving instead of moving forward. When I need this thing to be...
Now he's opening the door. Notice how he's holding her back here. Still not a lot of tension on the leash. He's just trying to keep her in position while he's fidgeting with the door. What he wants to do is have a controlled introduction. He doesn't want her to rush in front of him and start smelling through the screen. He needs to introduce these dogs exactly in order so that these dogs can meet with him being the leader. And right away, they never feel like they're the ones controlling the show, because that's what's going to lead to a fight. He needs to teach her how to meet another dog in a calm, submissive, I hate using that word submissive, but that's what we want. We want a calm, low energy introduction. We don't want a tense, I'm in control, I own this RV, I own everything. We want her to be nice and relaxed, and that's what he's trying to do here.
Locked? It doesn't lock. I just want the smell too.
See, they don't need to be nose to nose right now to smell. And by keeping distance, he's actually teaching that German Shepherd, use your nose. You don't need to use your eyes right now. German Shepherds tend to do that. They lock on with their eyes, and the smell comes a little bit after. So what he's doing is saying, you can meet Junior, but you can meet with your nose first. That's how I want you to meet. I don't want you to just rush up and start smelling. I want you to use your nose and just sniff the air, and that's how you're going to meet the introduction.
You can read the body language there.
Okay, so did you see Junior do a lick, right? So he's using his nose, his head's down because of course she's down, but he's very curious, he's calm. He does a lick lip, which is basically it's signaling his brain to remain calm, but it's also a signal to her that he's calming himself down, that he's not coming with an excited energy.
There we go. So she's now becoming, look, if I move here, look, see?
And here, so now Cesar's moved her a little bit to the side so that she's not straight on with Junior. She's meeting Junior in a very non-threatening manner. She can still smell him. She can still acknowledge him, but she doesn't need to be head on, because head on in body language is very often fight mode. It's aggression instead of a calm, gentle, let's just meet as friends mode.
Now I have target this part. Look, boom.
So again, the reason that he gave that correction that time is because that was a very excited sniff. She can sit, we just saw Junior do it a second ago where it was very calm, just, ears were low, head was low, just doing a nice soft smell. She went in with this, her head came up, her body, her chest kind of puffed out, and she went out with a more of an excited sniff. And Cesar's saying, no, I don't agree with that. You can meet him calm. You don't need to be excited. And he gave the correction for being excited.
Now I can touch with my hand and just redirect her. So now I found her weak point.
Do you see how she's looking back at Cesar and then looking around, looking at Cesar, looking around? This is what we want. We want her to be looking to the human for guidance. Instead of her saying, I got this, I'm in control, I know what I'm doing, she's saying, okay, teach me.
So I can keep touching that part, so her mind doesn't become stronger by past experiences. There you go. The whining, that's very good. She's not responding. I never seen.
And Junior is definitely picking up on her energy. You can tell he's whining, he's excited, he wants to meet her, but he's picking up on the fact that she's still excited, and so he's reacting to that excitement by whining himself.
Her, misbehaving aggressive, but. Also, we're taking a cue from Junior.
Did you see that? That is so subtle. She did the lick smacking, so she's self-soothing. She's trying to calm herself down. She's still a little too excited. You can see those eyes. Like, she's not using her nose at all. She's using her eyes. Those ears are starting to lock forward. But what I do like is that part of her brain is working because she's moving back. She took a couple steps back, which is perfect. But she's not quite in that calm student mode yet. She's in that, can I react right now?
Junior, look at the concern in the eyes. You can see the concern because somebody just told her not to behave aggressively.
Yeah, basically. I wouldn't say it's that they told her not to behave aggressively. I don't think she made that connection, but I think she made the connection that the rules have changed. Something's different. I can't approach this like I usually do. So now she's just kind of like, okay, she's trying to process all of these things and make it make sense in her mind. And that's going to take some time. It doesn't happen like that. But you can see that transformation already happened. She knows that she can no longer come in an excited or tense state. So now she has to figure out, okay, how can I approach this?
Nice. Good. Love it. Nice. A little bit of tension. You saw the tension? It was a little mild tension right.
Again, this is one of those parts where I don't have to agree with Cesar on everything, and I personally don't like this introduction. I don't feel that when you're introducing two dogs together that you should do it in a closed environment like this. In my opinion, the best way to do this would have had to have Junior come out, have one person handling Junior and somebody else handling Roxy, and have the introduction outside in neutral ground, ideally at a walk. But for this scenario, what he's doing here, I guess he's trying to demonstrate how to do it if you were at home in a closed environment. But again, I still wouldn't do it this way. There's that lick smack again from Junior, just saying, hey, I don't mean any harm here. I'm just a friend. I just want to meet you. And she kind of looks away. She's not sure. Should I avoid? Should I'm not allowed to charge in there. I can't be all excited. Not quite sure how to behave yet. So she's just kind of cycling through in her mind. How do I approach this?
A little bit of, it's an excitement going on. They want to meet, but it's some tension still. You can see it right there. Look at the expression right there in Junior.
Yeah, so definitely more of an excited, locked on. Now he's matching her energy, right? So she's coming in. That's a really good side by side, actually, the two of them. So she's still a little concerned. You can see one eyebrow's up, one's down. She's trying to focus, but the excitement is kind of winning over right now. She's getting a little bit more animated, and Junior is picking up on that. So he's definitely going from being curious, gentle friend to check yourself.
So there is still tension.
This is, I just want to stop here for a sec because this is so important to point out. This is usually when owners start making mistakes because they give up too soon. They read the dog as being ready and they advance before the dog has actually given into the role. And the reason I'm pointing it out here is because to the average person, it might look like this dog's already ready, right? 5 minutes ago, it looked like the dog was already ready. But when you start looking at the more subtle signs, the dog was screaming loud and clear, I'm not ready yet. I don't know how to behave. And if you try to advance them too quickly, they have no choice but to fall back on their old behaviors because that's all they've ever known. This dog is basically learning a brand new language in a very quick amount of time. And it's our job as the handler to make sure that our dog understands that language before we, ask them to order off the menu, right? They need to know what is expected of them before we can advance forward. She's pulling on that leash because she's not sure. She doesn't know, right? I'm not allowed to do what I used to do. Every time I did, I got corrected. So she doesn't know yet how to behave. And Junior's just standing guard there saying, hey, you know what? You can come in here, but you darn well better behave. So again, she just doesn't know how to behave in this situation.
Nice.
Close, Cesar?
Yeah.
You notice how Cesar walked her right past Junior. He didn't let her get up a couple steps and then stop and sniff. It's no. Once you're moving forward, that's it. Now we're going to move straight in. We're going to just ignore this dog that's sniffing your butt, and we're just going to walk all the way around and turn around. So again, Cesar saying, I'm in control. You need to trust me. Just follow my lead and everything will be fine. Okay, this is perfect. Notice how she started off curious. Everything was fine. As she's smelling and she's getting close to Junior's face, she starts getting really, it's subtle, but she's starting to get very, very excited here. And the smell, she went from smelling, half an inch away to now her nose is physically on Junior and she's smelling really hard. And watch what Junior does, because I love this body language that Junior does here. It's a perfect example of a dog just basically saying, throwing up a white flag and saying, I'm not here to fight. I want to be your friend. Just watch. So subtle. Right? So as she started to get excited, he just gently turned his head and shifted his eyes. And it was just enough to tell her, I'm no threat to you. And that was enough for her to say, okay, we're cool. And right away, she backed off. That lick lip from Junior, just, whew, that was a little stressful, but he's letting it go. He's not holding on to it. A little tense there for a second. Now he's going to let it go.
Look at the paws. The paws are wide open. So right now, she's just trying to stabilize herself in the floor. The RV is a little tilted. That's why it's actually...
So what he's saying here is because she feels off balance already physically, it's hard for her to get into that aggressive stance that she was on firm ground when she was on the sidewalk, and she had firm footing and she felt very confident. Now, because the RV is a bit on a side angle and the floor is slippery, she feels like she's not quite as strong as before. And he's saying this is a prime time to let the dogs meet because she feels because she doesn't feel as strong. Again, I don't agree. I just don't. I do feel in this situation right here that it should have been done outside. I don't feel that having two dogs meet for the very first time in a very closed space, especially when you have one dog that already clearly claims this area is his, to bring a strange dog in, I think you're asking for trouble, but quite frankly. So that's just my piece.
Okay, Junior, let's go for a walk. This is a dog that actually was placed from 4 different homes, which is a sad reality.
Notice how here he ties the leash to his belt loop here. And this is a really neat technique that you can use. Anyone can do this. If you're nervous, or if you tend to be one of those people that plays the what if scenario, oh my God, what if another dog runs up to me? What if I run into somebody? What if my dog does this? What if this is great for that, because it takes that tension off the leash. You're no longer holding the leash, so you don't have to worry about accidentally pulling back at the wrong time, or having that stress travel down the leash into your dog. You can tie it to, put a belt on and tie it to your belt, tie it to something that's secure, and just relax, and just swinging your arms while you're walking will help you to mentally settle so that you're not carrying all that stress with you.
Because a lot of these dogs, after they've been placed 4 times, they feel that
I want you to pay attention to how she's walking right now, because this is such a great example of where a dog should be walking. She's not ahead. She is basically 1 foot behind him at her shoulder. So that shoulder is kind of at his knee. That's a little bit before the knee. I just want to show this here.
They need to euthanize them. So dogs like her would be euthanized.
Right? So the shoulder is just behind the knee here. Her head is right here as his foot moves forward. Dogs are very good creepers. And especially more dominant dogs, or dogs that are used to being in the lead position, they will creep. So I want you to pay attention to this when you're walking. If your dog's nose, my rule is if I can see my dog's nose, they're too far ahead, and I just give them little corrections. Hey, knock it off, and it's enough to say, oh yeah, sorry. It's like they have to keep testing to see, can I get up here now? Is she still paying attention? Not severe, it's not hard, it's just little gentle reminders to say, hey, knock it off. And we're going to see her try this here in a sec.
Nice if guys like Michael would not be able to give her a chance. Now, this slightly in front of me, that's a problem. When somebody...
So it is. I know it doesn't seem like it's much, and most owners probably wouldn't even notice it, but as soon as your dog starts to creep ahead, they go from being in a follower position to in a leader position. And dogs that are in a leader position instinctively think they have to guard and protect their owner, and they lose the student-teacher relationship. It shifts, and it happens so quickly, all because they moved 1 inch ahead of their owner. So it's really important to just pay attention to where your dog is, and keep correcting them while they're just creeping. Don't wait for them to commit to the full thing. Don't wait for them to be lunging or pulling you. As soon as you start feeling them creep, that's when you want to do the correction.
So here, what I'm doing is just slowing her down. So this part right here had to end up right next to my leg. There you go, right there.
Basically in your peripheral vision, because you don't want to be walking and staring down at your dog. You want to be just walking and relaxing. But if in your peripheral vision, if you can see that nose, you already know you need to do a correction. So then you just go, knock it off, right? Instead of it being a big deal, it's just a gentle reminder. Sure, in the beginning when you're first learning, you might have to do it several times, but eventually they get to the point where it's like, oh, okay, this is where you want me to walk. You're just marking where you want them to go and reinforcing that. Over time, they get better at it. They don't need as many corrections or reminders.
Right, see the motion now? Now she's in a walking, traveling mode. This is what we want. We just want to give her a clear direction so she can enjoy the walk. I don't think Michael has enjoyed the walk since he adopted her.
See, right there, look, see, she's a good creeper. She's already starting to speed up a little bit, and she's creeping up ahead.
Sure.
And he gives a correction, right? Hey, knock it off.
Come on, Junior. Go. And the way in, they have to follow you too. Human first, and then dog follows.
Okay.
I mentioned this earlier in the video. It's just so important. I'm going to say it again. Your dog, anytime you enter or exit a building or your vehicle, you have to lead your dog in and out. You do not allow your dog to pull you in or pull you out. So let's say you're getting into your vehicle. Open up your car door. Make your dog sit, open up the car door. As soon as you are ready, and only when you're ready, then you say, all right, hop in and get them to come in. You don't want to just open the door and the dog lunges in, because that's going to set them up to be excited and they're already, pulling you. We want to keep them in that nice, calm, balanced energy. So we're going to open the door and we're going to invite them in when we're ready. It's what I would recommend you do, especially when you're first starting out, is practice that exercise alone. Just start getting your dog ready, get the leash, put the leash on, walk over to the door, and then just stand there. Check your phone, go through, text somebody, and just stand there. Wait for your dog to be calm. When your dog finally gives up and realizes that you're not going to go right away, that's when you just turn and start walking out and lead your dog with you. As long as the dog's bouncing off the walls and excited, you just stand there and ignore them. Just do something else. As soon as they get calm, turn around and walk out. There's your exercise. There's your little thing to try for until the next video.
She's following you and you're not even paying attention to her.
I am.
Okay.
Here's the thing. We are paying attention. What we're not doing is hyper focusing on the dog. We're focusing on ourselves, on our breathing, on our own feelings mentally. And that's transferring over to the dog through our body language, through our breathing, and through how we're carrying ourselves. So he is definitely focused. We don't need to be zeroed right in. We can just have confidence in ourselves that we'll feel when all of a sudden there's tension on the leash. We'll see in our peripheral vision if the dog starts creeping ahead. So we're just relaxing and having faith and confidence in our ability to read our dog. And that self-confidence is traveling through to our dog in how we're handling ourselves and how we're actually approaching the walk.
The thing that was most surprising is the immediacy of the behavior change in Roxy.
So I want to stop here. I just want to briefly comment on what she said. So she's amazed by how quickly the transformation happened. And he says at some point that, he's watched these videos and he thinks that there's a bunch of editing, or he thought there was like a whole bunch of editing or some magic sauce that was being used that maybe the viewer didn't see. Here's the thing that I need to stress to you. Yeah, the dog's a lot better already. It is, but it's not fixed yet. It takes time. And the more that the owner does this with their dog, the more that he practices everything that Cesar's taught him today, the better the dog's going to be. So he's got a great foundation now. He's starting with something really positive and he's going to be able to work on it. But it's not just a magic fix, and these things do take time. So please don't think that a 45-minute video on how to train your dog is going to fix everything. It's just giving you more tools in your tool belt that you can then use to help your dog move forward, right? So I just want to recap on what we've talked about today, and thank you all for watching. So dogs need to stay beside the owner. So that's our first thing, right? So when we're walking, we need to make sure our dog is staying beside us and not, creeping ahead. Don't live in the past. Don't expect that every time something bad happens, that's what's going to happen. Use those examples as teaching opportunities. Figure out, how can I move forward and find opportunities where I can teach my dog how to behave. Let's not worry about what happened yesterday, and let's not stress about what's going to happen tomorrow. Let's just focus on today. Make the best of it. Wait until your dog tells you that they're ready before advancing. If you wait until your dog tells you that they're ready to advance, the whole lesson goes so much smoother. Correct your dog before they get too excited. This is again coming down to reading your dog and being able to tell when they're getting too excited. We want to correct them when they're at a level 2. We want to wait until they're at a level 5 to do a correction, because that won't work. If we can do a correction when they're at that 2 just going to 3, that's where it's just a gentle, quick, hey, knock it off, compared to a severe correction, which nobody wants to do. And the last thing I want to talk about is repetition, because here's the thing that a lot of people don't tell you. Repetition creates perfection. The more you do something, the better you're going to get at it. So get out there and practice. Do it over and over again. Find different opportunities to work with your dog, and just keep doing them. Don't stress if you get them wrong. You're going to get them wrong. Just tell yourself that. I'm probably going to do this wrong 100 times before I finally get it right. But once you do get it right, it'll become easier and easier to replicate it, because you've just kept practicing and you've built up some muscle memory. So just keep getting out there, do the repetitions, and reap the rewards later. All right. So anyways, with that, I thank you so much for watching and joining me today. I can't wait to see you again. Until next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care. Bye.